Where the is Sandrone? Literally every other Harbinger seems to have a placement within the current or future storyline within Genshin. But when it comes to Sandrone or the Marionette, the 7th Harbinger, where on earth is she? She is clearly from Fontaine. But yet, we got some more details from Arlecchino that might suggest why we haven't seen her yet. But I'll admit, I would have bet money that we would have seen her at some point in Fontaine. She is clearly from here. Her research, her gimmick, her mecha, everything about her aesthetic, and everything that we know would suggest that she's from Fontaine. We've even had hints of her possible origin and a small cameo within a story quest in Fontaine, so even if she is from Fontaine, why haven't we seen her yet? Well, there might actually be an explanation to that. We learned about Project Stuzha, and we learned that the businessmen of the Fatui, aka the Rooster and Pantalone, are stationed within Khaenri'ah right now. It is pretty much all but confirmed that the 3 top guns, Capitano, Colombina, and Dodore, will be in Natlan. At least the captain for sure we know is. Child's kind of out and about. And for the rest, it's pretty straightforward, but when it comes to Sandrone, she's the most mysterious and MIA. She's not really associated with any others. All the dialogue about her basically just says she just has a terrible personality, likes to just obsessively tinker with her mechas and her research. And what Arlecchino said was the most interesting. Reading it back again, at first it didn't really seem like much, but she says that all of the Fatui foot soldiers, like all of the day-to-day grunts of the Fatui, 99% of them haven't really seen Sandrone. She's not made an appearance. So most of the members of the Fatui have not even seen this Harbinger. We know that all the Harbingers basically have like a brigade or a small little army that's stationed with them. We know that in Mondstadt, a lot of Fatui were stationed and like working under Signora, and we know that Child commands his own regime. But this would suggest that Sandrone is not linked with any of that kind of stuff and activities. She's not going around to different nations and doing this type of stuff. Hence why 99% of the actual Fatui members outside of the Harbingers haven't even seen this Harbinger before. That's crazy. I honestly think she's a very key, vital member of Project Stuzha, whatever they're doing. Linked with the 3rd Descender, this resurrection, whatever phase 1 with the Gnosis is with the Fatui, I think Sandrone is very much behind the scenes associated with this. I also think she might be in Khaenri'ah right now. Above all else with her research, she's obsessed with mechas, and that is where they originate from, Khaenri'ah, because we know that Khaenri'ah was way more advanced than any civilization in Teyvat, by a large margin. Do I think Sandrone is linked with the Narcissus and Croyance in Fontaine? 100%, and this all ties in together. Scaramouche has a personal experience working with Sandrone. He states she has a terrible personality and has produced copious amounts of garbage, as he stated. I think Scaramouche has a little bit more information than Arlecchino and Child because he's a machine or a puppet himself, and he led expeditions into the Abyss, because we know that he's more suited for that hostile environment. I do also think Sandrone is influencing or has something to do with the Adventurers Guild and Catherine, helping her conduct more research and exploration of Teyvat. We know that in Khaenri'ah, the Rooster will be a Harbinger we see. I don't even think people are debating that fact, but Pantalone as well. Arlecchino sort of hints this already. They are both spearheading this operation with Project Stuzha. The captain is going to crack some skulls in Natlan with the other 2 top Harbingers most likely, and getting the last Gnosis in the Nation of War. So, if I'm being honest, this really just leaves Sandrone. It really does make the most sense for Sandrone to be maybe a minor character in Khaenri'ah, possibly, but for the most part, she might be just in Khaenri'ah, because we know Khaenri'ah is going to be our last chapter of this game that was teased in the Teyvat timeline trailer. Piero is also from Khaenri'ah. It would just make the most sense to me that she's conducting some kind of research in Khaenri'ah. But I know some of you are probably wondering, wasn't she already in 4.2 in that side quest? When we were doing that quest with the Steambird, was that Sandrone? We don't know for sure. I would say without a doubt, yes. The reason being is if it was Arlecchino who already was present, name dropped in Fontaine at this point, why would they go through so much trouble to leave it ambiguous? This had to be Sandrone, and I don't think that it's impossible for her to be in Fontaine this whole time, but But if 99% of the Fatui organization has not seen her to this day, then it would make a lot more sense why she's so scarce and we haven't ran into her yet. And I don't know about you, but it seems almost impossible that she shows up in Natlan. I don't see why she would show up there of all places. At this point, Khaenri'ah just seems like the obvious choice and best bet for her. I know we've talked about on this channel, but I'm sure some of you have seen this as well, that she resembles one of these children linked with the Narthus and Croint and their orphanage. And all of these kids would go on to experiment and work with the Abyss in their own way, which was around the time the Cataclysm took place 500 years ago. And what makes the most sense to me is one of two things. Marianne created this robot that carries her around, and, much like all the other children, went through some sort of transformation or some sort of gimmick that gives her a longer life. Because all Harbingers are linked to Khaenri'ah in some way. So this would be a direct connection to both Fontaine and Khaenri'ah at the same time. Another option is that Alain, her brother, is actually Sandrone. The big robot we see carrying around the marionette is actually the Harbinger, and that he's carrying around a mecha version or some sort of puppet version of his sister that is like a false front. Both would be pretty cool and interesting concepts. But I know a lot of people believe that Alain is actually the big robot. It's not just a random piece of mecha. Either way you slice it, I really don't think there's enough time or story to really introduce another Harbinger with what little we have left of Fontaine, so I'm really thinking that it's going to be a couple years before we really see Sandrone appear in game. I guess it makes more sense why she would be so scarce. If, like Arlecchino said, nobody's seen her, hardly even any Fatui members, so it's no wonder we haven't just run into her. But anyways, I'm going to wrap the video up. I just wanted to talk about Sandrone because, for one, I really like this Harbinger and I don't want her to be forgotten, and I feel like I haven't really heard anyone talk about her in a long time. She's kind of just flying under the radar, and honestly, it's bothering me a little bit because I really want to know where she is and what she's up to. I would have bet money that she showed up in Fontaine by now, but I guess I was wrong, and I guess she's doing something much bigger behind the scenes than we realized. She has to be. And re-listening to Arlecchino's comments about her, that sort of just kind of clicked for me. She's doing something behind the scenes. Nobody's seen her. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Where do you think Sandrone will show up in the story? Because eventually all of them are going to show up. It's just a matter of when. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I am so excited for Natlan. We are getting so close and it's going to be a great region. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this, and as always, we will see you all in the next one. Later.